Hello there, this is Welsh ASMR 82. Hey, how you doing? And today we're going to have a little chat about the Champions League Final, as well as the Europa League Final and the Conference League Final. So let's jump straight into the video. This is, of course, an ASMR video, and it's going to be soft-spoken with a little bit of whispers throughout. If you've been watching my coverage of the Champions League this year, I did ask a question actually on the on YouTube to you guys. I said, when PSG won it last year, I said, do you think they're gonna win it again next year? And many of you said yes, but I think most of you said no. And I did feel all the way through the tournament that they were gonna get really far, but I personally, I think, off the top of my head, I predicted Bayern and Arsenal in the final. It was a good final. It wasn't like the most amazing final ever. I think one of the reasons was that Arsenal, who obviously have this amazing defence, and Paris Saint-Germain have this amazing attack, scored first. And that's exactly the same as what happened to them against Barcelona back in whatever it was, 2003. I remember watching that final as well, and Arsenal via a Sol Campbell header went one up against this amazing Barcelona team. And then, you know, it was just wave after attack, and it was just very similar. But Paris Saint-Germain couldn't score a second. It went to penalties, and obviously Gabriel painfully kicked it over the bar, and they lost. What's my overall thought? Well, Paris Saint-Germain worthy winners? I think so. But when you get to penalties, it's literally 50-50, isn't it? Should Arsenal be upset? Yes. The penalty decision that didn't go for them, I immediately thought it was a penalty. I've seen it like 20 times since. And now I believe it's not a penalty. But to be honest, if there's that much doubt involved, then, you know, could they have watched 20 times? Maybe. But if you're in that much doubt, you need to watch something 20 times to make a decision, then surely he should have gone over to the screen. I'm not saying it should have been given, but I'm saying it's worth a conversation. I was really surprised to see that it was just, you know, totally dismissed. But having seen it so many times, I do think ultimately it was more or less the right decision, and a sort of 60% it shouldn't have been given, 40% I've definitely seen them given. I think the only thing that goes against him is the fact that he sort of tucks his arm around Pacho. Is it Pacho? No, it's Mendes. Around Mendes' arm as well. If he'd not done that, I think he would have been given it. But I think that may have gone against him, which is petty really, but there we go. But they had a very good shout for a penalty at least. 75% possession, which is what you expect from Paris Saint-Germain, and is what happened in the semi-final last year against Arsenal as well. Was it the semi-final? Or was it the quarter-final? I think it was the semi. Yeah, because they beat Real Madrid in the quarter, didn't they? And then 1.72 expected goals against 0.5. Arsenal kind of got deeper and deeper and deeper and had fewer attacks, and then they brought on Gyökeres to see if he could do something, and he really couldn't. He had like one shot on goal that went wide. You'd thought that maybe him coming on would have been a good idea, because you could have popped balls over the top and he could have run onto them, which is what he used to do for Sporting like every week before they bought him, but they just didn't do that. They were playing it a little bit to his feet, and he had his back to goal, and that's not Gyökeres' best sort of position from what I understand. He's better when he's, you know, chasing and on the line and waiting for, you know, long balls over the top. And there was a lot of tired legs, and yeah, so it was, I think all in all, Paris Saint-Germain were one of the best teams in the entire competition consistently, along with maybe Arsenal, Bayern, and possibly Barcelona. So I don't begrudge them winning. Obviously I don't like it when the same teams win competitions again and again, because this team could genuinely go on and win it a third time. Very few teams have won it twice in a row. Real were the last team to do it. And I don't like a monopoly of teams, you know. I was rooting for Atletico Madrid because I wanted someone new to win it. Then I was rooting for Arsenal because I wanted someone new to win it. So, I hope we don't get sort of, you know, ridiculous dominance. And everyone thinking, oh, well, it's going to be Paris Saint-Germain in the final and they're probably going to win it every year, you know. So yeah, I think overall we had a really interesting competition. We saw a deep run from Atletico Madrid, which was nice, from Sporting, which was really nice. Bayern looked good, Real looked a little bit vulnerable, Liverpool underwhelmed, Barcelona were caught out. I think they could have got to a semi-final, but Atletico Madrid have beaten them several times this season. Bodo Glimt did really well. Who else? Man City was surprised. Galatasaray did well. Chelsea underwhelmed. So I thought it was a very interesting competition. I am still enjoying the format, the table, for example. It's definitely got a couple of years in it before it starts getting stale and the same teams finish in the top 8. I think, you know, it helps that this year Sporting got into that top 8, pushed Real Madrid out, as well as Inter. Paris Saint-Germain, of course, didn't get in the top 8. So it does leave us with more exciting matches in the group stage period, rather than, you know, 2 matches away and home and away against, you know, someone like Shakhtar Donetsk, for example. And it is still a little bit unpredictable, and neither of the teams that have finished first have won it, because this year is Arsenal and last year it was Liverpool, if I remember correctly. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, Liverpool and Barcelona. So again, Paris Saint-Germain were 15th on that occasion, and they won it, and Inter were 4th and they reached the final. So there's still a level of unpredictability. It's not like the team that goes through and first wins the Champions League or anything like that. But yeah, I thought that, you know, certain teams had a pretty good run. Tottenham did well in this section as well. I think Olympiacos, Club Brugge, Galatasaray, like I said, Monaco, Karabakh had a fantastic tournament. Bodo Glimt had a brilliant one. Underwhelming performances from Marseille, PSV, Napoli, obviously, Ajax, and Villarreal had a terrible tournament. So yeah, it was an interesting one, and it was very good to watch, as per usual. I'll do a video just before the start of the main European seasons kicking off, talking about who's qualified for the Champions League. I'll do a little preview video of that. Okay, let's have a look then at the Europa League. So I think the Europa League was fairly predictable. I was hoping that Freiburg might do something surprising, but on the night they managed to last about 40 minutes and then the floodgates opened. I thought they did pretty well up to that point. But yeah, it was after that it was just no going back. Aston Villa just crushed them. Obviously it does show that with all those teams in the top 8 of the Champions League being from England, many of them were from England. I mean, obviously finalists in the Europa and the Conference League. So we've got a situation where the money of the Premier League is making a massive difference now. I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago we had a little bit of a crisis moment when we didn't have any English teams in the quarterfinals of the competitions, but that sort of changed. But then, you know, things go up and down quickly, don't they? That year, I think Italy had absolutely loads in the quarterfinals of all 3 competitions. They had Inter in the final, they had Roma in the final of the Europa League, Fiorentina 2 years in a row in the final of the Conference League, and then all of a sudden this year Italy have flunked. So we do get ups and downs. I just hope each competition isn't like an English winner every year, you know. So Freiburg, very brave, but up until 40 minutes in, and then Buendia had a fantastic game. Tielemans with that wonderful goal, very good set-piece play from the corner. Buendia with a beautiful goal. He's had a very good end to the season. And Rodgers, who is, coveted by quite a lot of teams this summer. Aston Villa want to keep him. They've got Champions League football. They've got winners' medals now. But can they keep him? If he has an amazing World Cup, then I definitely can see him going maybe to, Man City or Liverpool, somewhere like that. Possibly against Aston Villa's will. But yeah, so, and obviously another Europa League title for Emery, who has 5 now, 4 with Sevilla, some of which were in a row, if you remember, which is very difficult to do for Europa League. And yeah, they've done it now with Aston Villa, who've got that European trophy, so fantastic. Well done to the villains. And yeah, Champions League football, both anyway from this, but also from their league finish as well, so they definitely were always going to have Champions League football. Who did well in this competition? Well, obviously many teams, Braga, Nottingham Forest. We had a deep run from 2 of the Spanish teams, Real Betis and Celta Vigo. Porto, I thought, actually were unlucky to go out in the quarters. I thought they were going to reach the final. Bologna, who put out Roma, flunked against Aston Villa, but they had a very good deep run themselves. Genk, Panathinaikos, and then Ferencváros as well. Ludogorets made it to the next round. Victoria Pilsen, Dinamo Zagreb, Celtic, Fenerbahce, Bran, and Crvena Zvezda. And then in the table, obviously, Lyon finished top. Midtjylland in 3rd, and Roma in 8th. They will be quite disappointed with their performance, actually, overall. Genk, who else did well? Victoria Pilsen. And then the underachieving ones, I think maybe the Dutch, who had 3 teams not qualify, so it's Go Ahead, Feyenoord and Utrecht. Nice, who obviously, did they get relegated in the end from their league? No, they beat Saint-Etienne quite handsomely in the end, so they've stayed up, but they were in the relegation playoff in Ligue 1. Malmö Rangers had a bit of a terrible time at that point in the season. So yeah, they all underachieved as well. Nice to see more Norwegian teams doing well after both got through from the Champions League, Bodø Glimt and Brann from the Europa League. Okay, and last but not least, Conference League, which for me sometimes is one of the more interesting ones. Plucky Rayo Vallecano made it to their first ever final in one of their first ever seasons in Europe. But Crystal Palace sign off with yet another cup. 2 years in a row now. They've got the FA Cup and the the Conference League. Nice for Brennan Johnson. I know he didn't come on, he's had a terrible season, but he's got 2 winners' medals. He got the Europa League last year with the Spurs, and now he's got the Conference League, so Champions League next year, Brennan. Yeah, Rayo Vallecano, to be honest though, as much as I would have loved them to win, they barely laid a glove. They had a lot of possession but did nothing with it. They sort of couldn't string 2 attacking passes together, they just passed it around the back. Looked very vulnerable on the break. Crystal Palace could have scored about 3 or 4. Their expected goals were 2.58 with 11 shots. Those 10 shots, only 1 on target. 11 touches in the box compared to 21. They really didn't get anywhere near. So it was quite a shame for Rayo Vallecano, because I do really like them. I was trying to get one of their shirts actually, because I love their shirts, but they were a bit weirdly difficult to get hold of. I'll try again next year. I'm sure they'll have a really nice shirt next year. And unfortunately they didn't even qualify for Europe. They missed out by like a point in the league or something. Let me just have a quick look. Table. Yeah, they missed out by 1 point. So yeah, that's a shame as well. Crystal Palace, however, have qualified for the Europa League despite finishing... Where did they finish? Quite low down, wasn't it? Not as bad as Spurs last year, but 15th in the Premier League, and they win that. So yeah, but exciting times for Crystal Palace. See if the new manager now can continue the legacy as well by winning things. Who had a good tournament? Shakhtar Donetsk had a really good tournament. Strasbourg as well. Fiorentina, third year in a row now. No, maybe fourth year in a row to reach at least the quarter-final. 2 finals, I think there was a semi-final for last year and the quarter-final this year, so they are always there and thereabouts. Although they won't be in it next year because they only narrowly avoided relegation in Serie A. AEK Athens did really well. Mainz, Sigma Olomouc, Rijeka, Samsunspor, Raków Częstochowa, Larnaca, and Lech Poznań. I thought Lech were going to go further into the competition. I was surprised when Shakhtar beat them, actually. And then who else did well? So Strasbourg came top, actually, I forgot that. And Sparta Prague did well. And then Crystal Palace only finished in 10th. Alkmaar got through. Fiorentina, Rijeka, Jagiellonia, Białystok. The Polish teams really do well in this competition. But also a couple of shock ones like Noah of Armenia, Drita of Kosovo, Kups of Finland, Skendia of Macedonia, yeah, North Macedonia, Bosnia Zrinki Mostar, Sigma Olomouc of Czechia. So, and Gibraltar's team nearly got through. It was goal difference in the end that stopped them getting through. Dinamo Kiev also went out. Legia went out. There was a poor tournament for them. Shamrock went out. I think they'll be unhappy with this year's tournament. And Aberdeen obviously finished last but won. Rapid Wien also really would expect to do a lot better. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we can get another Welsh team, Northern Irish team, a couple of Irish teams in the Conference League for next year. That'll be really nice. This is the one where the sort of unpredictable smaller nations can get a chance at some European money and some success as well. Okay, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then click like, leave a comment if you're happy, sort of sum up your team's European season and whether you're excited that your team maybe is going to be in Europe next year, or at least try and qualify next year. Click that subscribe button and we will be kicking off the new Champions League campaign with some predictions videos talking about who's qualified. And yeah, I'm thinking at this point that I might reinstate the Champions League stickers for next season. We'll have to wait until about late November apparently. I've been doing my homework. So yeah, I really missed doing the Champions League stickers this year. I focused on the Premier League instead. I think next year we're going to go back to Champions League, so keep an eye out for those as well. Okay, thanks so much for watching everyone. Take care. See you soon.